90-Day Fiancé. Before the 90 days, Emma confesses to Ziad, Daniel lies to Lisa *. Emma finally reached a breaking point in her relationship with Ziad. And the emotional confession that followed changed everything between them. For weeks, viewers had watched their connection grow increasingly strained, with subtle arguments and awkward silences hinting at deeper issues beneath the surface. When Emma decided it was time to come clean, she knew there was no turning back. She had been carrying a secret that weighed heavily on her heart, and every passing day made it harder to maintain the illusion that everything was fine. Ziad sensed something was wrong long before Emma spoke up. He noticed the way she avoided eye contact during conversations and how her once cheerful demeanor had shifted into something more distant and guarded, while he tried to give her space. Hoping she would eventually open up, the uncertainty began to take a toll on him as well. Friends close to the couple observed the tension during group outings, noting that Emma often seemed lost in thought while Ziad attempted to keep conversations light and upbeat. The moment of truth came during a quiet evening when the two sat down to discuss their future. Emma's voice trembled as she began to explain that she had been hiding certain feelings and doubts about their relationship. She admitted that despite her deep affection for Ziad, she had struggled with fears about whether they were truly compatible. In the long run, cultural differences, long-distance pressures, and lingering uncertainties about their plans for the future had created a storm of emotions she could no longer ignore. Ziad listened carefully, his expression shifting from confusion to concern. He had always believed their relationship was built on honesty, and hearing Emma's confession made him question how much he truly understood about her inner thoughts. Still, he remained calm, encouraging her to continue speaking without interruption. He wanted to know everything, even if the truth might be painful. Emma went on to reveal that she had considered stepping back from the relationship entirely at one point. The pressure of blending their lives across continents, combined with expectations from family and friends, had made her feel overwhelmed. She worried that if she continued without addressing her doubts, she might eventually hurt Ziad even more. Her confession was not meant to end things, she insisted, but rather to create a foundation of transparency moving forward. The honesty caught Ziad off guard. While he appreciated her courage in speaking openly, he couldn't help but feel a sense of betrayal that these thoughts had been kept hidden for so long. He asked her why she hadn't trusted him enough to share her concerns earlier. Emma admitted that she feared his reaction and worried he might interpret her doubts as a lack of love. In reality, she cared deeply for him and wanted their relationship to succeed, but she needed reassurance that they could navigate the challenges ahead together. As the conversation continued, emotions ran high. There were moments of silence where both struggled to find the right words, as well as moments of vulnerability where tears flowed freely. Ziad eventually shared his own fears, confessing that he too had felt uncertain at times but chose to focus on the positive aspects of their connection. He believed that every relationship faced obstacles and that working through them together could strengthen their bond. Emma's confession marked a turning point, rather than pushing them apart. The open dialogue began to rebuild a sense of trust that had been quietly eroding. They agreed to approach their relationship with renewed honesty, promising to communicate openly about their worries and expectations moving forward. It was not an instant solution, but it was a step toward healing. While Emma and Ziad worked through their emotional crossroads, another storyline unfolded involving Daniel and Lisa, whose situation quickly spiraled into controversy. Daniel had been presenting himself as completely transparent with Lisa, assuring her that there were no secrets between them. However, behind the scenes, his actions told a different story. Lisa had placed a great deal of trust in Daniel, believing that their connection was built on mutual respect and understanding. She often spoke highly of him to friends, describing him as someone who valued honesty above all else. But as time went on, subtle inconsistencies began to emerge in Daniel's stories. At first, Lisa brushed them off as simple misunderstandings, Yet the frequency of these discrepancies soon became impossible to ignore. The truth began to unravel when a mutual acquaintance revealed information that contradicted Daniel's claims about his recent activities. According to this source, Daniel had been less than truthful about his interactions with certain people and the nature of those relationships. When confronted, he initially denied any wrongdoing, insisting that there had been a misunderstanding. Lisa wanted to believe him. She cared deeply about Daniel and hoped there was a reasonable explanation. But as more details surfaced, it became clear that he had deliberately withheld information. The realization hit her hard, shaking the foundation of trust they had built. She struggled to reconcile the person she thought she knew with the reality unfolding before her. Daniel's decision to lie did not come without consequences. Once Lisa began questioning him more directly, he found it increasingly difficult to maintain his version of events. His explanations became inconsistent, and his attempts to downplay the situation only intensified her suspicions. Eventually, he admitted that he had not been entirely honest, though he attempted to frame his actions as an effort to avoid unnecessary conflict. For Lisa, the admission was devastating. She felt not only hurt by the deception, but also disrespected. Trust, once broken, is difficult to repair, and she wondered whether their relationship could survive such a breach. Friends and family offered support, encouraging her to prioritize her own well-being and carefully consider her next steps. As tensions rose, the couple faced a critical crossroads. Lisa demanded full transparency moving forward, making it clear that she would not tolerate further dishonesty. Daniel, realizing the gravity of the situation, expressed regret and promised to change. Whether his words would translate into meaningful action remained uncertain. The parallel storylines of Emma and Ziad's emotional confession and Daniel's troubling deception highlighted the complexity of relationships within the franchise. Both situations underscored the importance of communication and trust, revealing how easily misunderstandings and secrets can threaten even the strongest connections. For viewers, these unfolding dramas served as a reminder that love alone is not always enough. Without honesty and mutual respect, even the most passionate relationships can falter. As the season progressed, audiences watched closely to see whether these couples would overcome their challenges or ultimately part ways. Emma and Ziad continued to navigate their renewed commitment to openness, while Daniel and Lisa grappled with the fallout from his lies. Each step forward brought new revelations and emotional moments, keeping fans invested in their journeys. The coming days promised even more twists as both couples faced decisions that could shape their futures, with emotions running high and trust hanging in the balance. The path ahead remained uncertain, yet one thing was clear: the events that had unfolded would leave a lasting impact on everyone involved. Emma spent the following days replaying her confession in her mind, wondering if she had said too much or not enough. Every word felt significant now that it had been spoken aloud. She could see that Ziad was trying to process everything, and although he remained supportive, there was a noticeable shift in his behavior. He became more thoughtful and observant, as if weighing each moment carefully before reacting. Their conversations grew deeper and more intentional. Rather than brushing aside difficult topics, they began addressing them head-on. Emma admitted that she often felt pressure to appear strong and certain, especially when discussing their future with friends and family. She worried that showing vulnerability might make her seem unsure about their relationship, which was far from the truth. Ziad, in turn, shared his own internal struggles. He revealed that moving forward together meant making sacrifices on both sides, and he sometimes feared that Emma would eventually feel resentful about the changes required. His honesty created a sense of mutual understanding that had been missing before. For the first time in weeks, they felt like partners facing challenges together instead of individuals battling separate doubts. Meanwhile, Daniel's situation with Lisa continued to deteriorate. After his partial admission, Lisa requested complete transparency about everything he had been hiding. She made it clear that rebuilding trust would require more than apologies. She needed honesty, consistency, and proof that he was committed to change. Daniel found himself under intense scrutiny. Every detail of his past statements was questioned, and any inconsistency sparked new arguments. He tried to remain patient, understanding that he had created this situation through his own actions. Still, the constant tension weighed heavily on him. He feared that no matter what he said or did, Lisa might never fully trust him again. Lisa struggled with conflicting emotions. Part of her wanted to believe Daniel's promises and move forward together, but another part remained guarded. She confided in close friends, seeking advice on whether reconciliation was possible. Some encouraged her to give him another chance, while others warned that patterns of dishonesty rarely change overnight. As the days passed, Daniel attempted to demonstrate his commitment through small but meaningful actions. He began sharing details about his daily routine without being asked and made an effort to include Lisa in decisions that previously would have been handled independently. While these gestures showed progress, they did not immediately erase the hurt caused by his lies. The emotional strain began to affect both couples in different ways. Emma and Ziad focused on strengthening their communication, setting aside dedicated time to discuss their feelings and plans. They agreed to approach each challenge as a team, recognizing that misunderstandings often stemmed from unspoken fears. Daniel and Lisa, however, faced a more uncertain path. Each conversation felt like a test of their willingness to continue together. Lisa questioned whether she could truly move past the deception, while Daniel wondered if his efforts would ever be enough to repair the damage. Despite the tension, moments of clarity emerged. Emma realized that her confession had not weakened her relationship with Ziad, but rather exposed areas that needed attention. By confronting those issues directly, they began building a stronger foundation. Ziad, too, recognized the value of openness. He admitted that hearing Emma's doubts initially hurt, but he now understood that honesty was essential for growth. He appreciated her willingness to share difficult truths instead of allowing silent worries to create distance between them. For Daniel and Lisa, progress came more slowly. Their journey required patience and a willingness to confront uncomfortable realities. Lisa eventually agreed to give Daniel an opportunity to prove that he could be honest moving forward, though she emphasized that trust would need to be earned. Over time, Daniel accepted these conditions, knowing he had little choice if he wanted to preserve their relationship. He acknowledged that rebuilding trust would be a gradual process and promised to remain consistent in his actions. As both storylines unfolded, the emotional intensity continued to captivate viewers. The contrast between Emma and Ziad's path toward understanding and Daniel and Lisa's struggle with broken trust highlighted the many ways relationships can be tested. Emma and Ziad began making concrete plans for their future, discussing logistics and expectations with newfound clarity. They approached each decision with careful consideration, ensuring that both voices were heard. Daniel and Lisa, meanwhile, focused on repairing their connection one step at a time. They established boundaries and agreed on clear communication moving forward. While uncertainty lingered, there was also a sense of cautious hope that their relationship might recover. The evolving dynamics between these couples served as a powerful reminder that honesty and trust are at the core of any lasting partnership. Without them, even the strongest connections can falter. With them, however, there is always a chance for growth and renewal. Both Emma and Ziad and Daniel and Lisa faced pivotal moments that would shape their futures. Each decision carried weight, and every conversation held the potential to either strengthen or fracture their bonds. As tensions eased slightly, both couples reflected on what they had learned. Emma understood that vulnerability was not a weakness, but a necessary part of building a genuine connection. Ziad realized that listening without judgment could transform difficult conversations into opportunities for growth. Lisa recognized that forgiveness required time and genuine effort from both sides, while Daniel accepted that honesty must be consistent, not occasional. The journey ahead remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: The events that had unfolded would leave a lasting impact on all involved. Emma and Ziad's relationship entered a quieter phase after their intense emotional discussions. The initial shock of her confession had settled, leaving space for reflection and a deeper understanding of each other's perspectives. They began spending more time together in calm settings, avoiding distractions so they could focus entirely on rebuilding their connection. One evening, during a long walk, Emma admitted that she felt relieved after finally sharing her fears. For weeks, she had carried the weight of uncertainty alone, and releasing those thoughts allowed her to breathe again. Ziad listened carefully, reassuring her that honesty, even when uncomfortable, was far better than silence. He wanted their relationship to be a place where both could speak openly without fear of judgment. Their renewed commitment to communication slowly transformed their dynamic. Instead of avoiding difficult topics, they approached them with patience. Conversations about long-distance challenges, cultural expectations, and future plans became less intimidating. Emma realized that many of her worries had grown larger simply because she kept them to herself. Speaking them aloud revealed that solutions were often within reach. Ziad also took steps to show his support. He made an effort to understand Emma's concerns from her perspective, asking questions and offering reassurance when needed. He wanted her to know that she was not alone in facing the uncertainties ahead. His willingness to listen strengthened the emotional bond between them, creating a sense of partnership that had been missing during their earlier struggles. Meanwhile, Daniel and Lisa continued navigating the aftermath of his deception. The atmosphere between them remained fragile, with every interaction carrying an undercurrent of caution. Lisa found herself analyzing Daniel's words more closely than before, searching for signs of sincerity. While she appreciated his efforts to be transparent, the memory of his lies lingered in her mind. Daniel recognized that regaining Lisa's trust would require consistency over time. He began focusing on small actions that demonstrated reliability. Whether it was keeping promises, sharing details of his day, or checking in regularly, he aimed to show that he was serious about change. Each step was deliberate, reflecting his understanding that trust could not be rebuilt overnight. Despite these efforts, moments of tension still surfaced. During one conversation, Lisa expressed her fear that history might repeat itself. She worried that once the immediate crisis passed, Daniel might revert to old habits. Her concerns were not accusations, but reflections of lingering insecurity. Daniel responded with patience, acknowledging her feelings and emphasizing his commitment to transparency moving forward. As days turned into weeks, subtle improvements emerged. Lisa noticed that Daniel's behavior remained consistent, and while her guard was still up, she began to feel a cautious sense of optimism. She understood that forgiveness was a process, not a single decision, and that rebuilding trust required time and mutual effort. For Emma and Ziad, progress became increasingly evident. Their willingness to address challenges openly created a stronger emotional foundation. They began discussing practical steps for their future, including travel plans and potential timelines for closing the distance between them. Each conversation felt more collaborative than before, reinforcing the idea that they were building something together rather than navigating separate paths. Emma reflected on how close she had come to letting her doubts overwhelm her. If she had continued suppressing her fears, the relationship might have suffered in silence. Instead, choosing honesty allowed them to confront issues directly and find solutions together. The experience taught her that vulnerability could lead to growth rather than conflict. Ziad shared similar reflections. He realized that relationships require ongoing effort and communication. Assumptions and unspoken expectations can create distance if left unaddressed. By encouraging openness, he hoped to maintain the progress they had made and prevent future misunderstandings. The contrast between the two couples remained striking. Emma and Ziad's journey showed how transparency could strengthen a relationship, while Daniel and Lisa's struggle highlighted the consequences of dishonesty. Both paths offered valuable lessons about trust, communication, and emotional resilience. Lisa eventually agreed to spend more relaxed time with Daniel, Focusing on rebuilding their connection beyond the tension of recent events, they went out together, shared meals, and attempted to rediscover the positive aspects of their relationship. While the shadow of past deception had not completely disappeared, these moments of normalcy helped ease some of the strain. Daniel used these opportunities to show genuine care and attentiveness. He listened more closely to Lisa's thoughts and made an effort to prioritize her feelings. His goal was not only to repair the damage, but also to create a healthier dynamic moving forward. Emma and Ziad, meanwhile, found themselves growing closer through shared experiences. They began planning activities that allowed them to reconnect on a deeper level. Whether it was exploring new places or simply spending quiet evenings together, these moments reinforced the emotional bond they had worked so hard to strengthen. Both couples faced ongoing challenges, but there was also a sense of momentum. Emma and Ziad's relationship appeared to be moving toward greater stability, while Daniel and Lisa cautiously worked toward rebuilding trust. The unfolding events continued to captivate those following their stories. Each development offered insight into the complexities of modern relationships, especially when faced with distance, cultural differences, and personal insecurities. As the situation evolved, one thing became clear: honesty and consistent effort would determine the outcome for both couples. Emma and Ziad had already seen the benefits of open communication, while Daniel and Lisa were learning how difficult it could be to restore trust once it had been broken. The coming weeks promised further emotional moments and important decisions. Whether these couples would ultimately find lasting stability remained uncertain. But their journeys underscored the importance of facing challenges directly rather than allowing them to grow in silence.